let's get started.
Sure. So yeah, what do you want? When do you want to start? So,
Usually start with like a little bit of a short introduction based on kind of like how much do you play, what kind of things do you enjoy doing, and kind of like how do you track your own progress? Like, what are the parameters that you use for that?
okay, so I started to. I'm a returning player, so I returned 2 months ago, like literally at the tail end of the Identus, that event. So I burned the Shatterer to originally I was only planning to burn it to 200, but then I saw the title and just like, oh, that's pretty nice, and then I pushed it to 210, and I was like, oh, those are some pretty nice no stones, and then I pushed and pushed and pushed all the way to 235, and here I am now. So all the way at 251, and one problem I realized is that like I pushed so tall, like I have no support for the rest of my Shadower. So and then like after that, Story Farm came in, and then just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna go ham on the Legion Mule, and now basically I'm kind of like at this weird junction point of like, okay, should I keep pushing Legion? Because you saw I wrote right here, like, should I go all the way to 8K because of the Legion artifact coming summer, or should I go back to my main and then push all the way to 260? Because I know I need to start working on familiars as well. So, like, because when I'm in that, like, I've also like completed solo Lomian on Monday, so there's a lot of things moving around. So like also meso, I need to be like how do I spend it? So yeah, like everything I just kind of like just wrote right here. So.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you have access to, but it's more like a time management thing. Like, what is priority?
What to prioritize.
Yeah, because you could do anything, right? That's the the beauty of the game is that you can play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But yeah, making sure that you're. So what do you want to accomplish in the game? I guess is it just like generally moving forward, or do you have a specific goal in mind that you want to, like a big milestone that you're looking forward to?
I want to eventually get to like I think about Black Mage is probably the most the target, and then maybe like if anything like if I could like even at that point I can like if I played that long then hopefully maybe kind of join you guys because I also kind of want to join the guild as well. So I want to kind of talk about that as well, but we have no idea how long that would take. So
yeah, and yeah, depending on how much time you have to play. What is your like weekly schedule kind of looking like? Like how much do you play on an average week? Would you say?
let's see. I think I should able to play. I think it's 4 days. Yeah, there's 4 days I can play pretty regularly, and then there's 3 days I'll be at work and then like hanging out with family. So, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the game now where there's an insane amount of value from like value per time if you play every single day, but of course, that's the goal for the game to get you to log in every single day, right? And never never take a day off. So there are some things that are going to slow down a bit if you can't play at all during the entire day. But that's just something you'll just have to be okay with. Like you can't. Not everyone can play every day, right? So events and event shops are probably going to be mostly for you to kind of bring yourself towards the everyday player in terms of like symbol progress and that stuff, right? And instead of as a bonus on top of it, so you'll have to see them that way. So that does mean that some events, you'll have like a typical priority of list of things to do that we'll probably kind of get to, but an event like this one will definitely disrupt how much value your time will have for your account, because that's what we're basically looking at, right? Like how can we make your main character stronger, and whether that's grinding on it, whether that's bossing on it, whether that's making bossing mules, whether that's growing out your legion, whether that's jumping into an event. But events like these will always kind of they will temporarily reprioritize until it's over, and then you just go back to the old guard. But also just because something is priority, usually it's priority up until a certain point, and then once you're done, you can cross something off the list. But as soon as you do that, something else just gets added on, right? It's almost we're never done with anything. Yeah, the main thing with your main character, of course, is that as you grow, you get to 6th job. That's a big increase in damage, but also like an extra bind, extra iframe that'll make a bunch of boss fights a lot easier or more doable. And the other thing is, of course, start working on your 6th job is another dimension of making your character stronger that's more directly related to grinding on the main character rather than getting it through osmosis from your whole account, right? Rather than working on Legion and artifact system and all of that. And of course, getting access to new areas and getting your symbol dailies going for Sacred Power, that'll make sure that's only for stuff behind that comes like past Black Mage, right? But the longer it takes to get there, the longer it will take to get to the bosses that come after Black Mage, so like Saren first, and then like Easy Kalos and those kind of bosses. Those bosses are available pretty early, but if you're not building up your Sacred Power, you'll just take a while because it's a final damage reduction, right? Similar to how Arcane Power can stop you from, progressing super quickly. Now there's a lot of, for burn events and stuff, there's a lot of free arcane symbols that make it so that you can keep up with the growth of your character. But for Grandis, there's not, an event where it's like, oh, an extra 10 symbols a day for like a few months or something like that. There's just like event shops every now and then. But if you're, like I said in the beginning, if you're missing some dailies, then that'll be more to catch up to the people who are just doing daily rather than to get it as a bonus on top of it to speed up past that point. So that's the main value of going on your main, and of course past 260, like the fragments, right? The hexamatrix, building that out. And then for me, it's always like finding a balance between the two. It's usually never like I'm only going to do my main and I'm going to just completely neglect my Legion, or I'm only going to do Legion and my main, I'm not doing anything there. So there's a few things for me that'll always be on the list of like dailies and weeklies because they're just so valuable that I want to make sure I get at least those done. And then if you don't have time for more, or there's an event going that reprioritizes, then that will be higher on the list, and then some other things will just like fall off the list because lack of time or something like that. So right now, are you you're doing bosses on your main character up to what point?
I cleared normal Lomian Monday. Like Lotus was it took like 2 days. First day just kind of learning the boss, and Damien is the funny one because I finished the pre-quest on the same day. Did the practice one, got him all the way down to 3%, and then I'm just gonna buff up, and then I killed Damien. So yeah, I can clear Lomian solo now. So and then like here comes like basically another set of gear coming in because I don't even have mesos or drop gear yet. So like right now it's like what should I prioritize spending my money now? So and that's just another thing compounding together.
So what's your weekly income roughly looking like?
If I add Damien and Lomian to the mix, I think $2.5 million, because it's not just like I do dailies, I do Ursus, I do Maple Tour daily for on my main, but I also do other dailies on my Bowmaster to basically fill out the 180 crystal slot. It should be about around $2.5 million.
Okay, so that's $2.5 million, and then you do some grinding as well. Do you have time for that, or are you mostly just doing Legion growing now?
I'm mostly doing Legion growing. I haven't because I don't have any mesos and drop gear, so I don't even know is it even worth it for me to grind. So.
Gotcha, yeah. Well, the levels, like I said at the beginning, like the levels towards 6, that'll just be a big power spike as well. But I will say, we're going to look through all of your stuff, right, to kind of like position it. But working towards money going towards drop and meso gear is an insanely good investment for sure. That'll pay itself back in in many folds, and that will mean that in the beginning you'll take a little bit of a hit in damage because you're not going to be relying on your accessories for damage, but you're relying on your accessories for the drop and the meso. But you want to make sure that, especially with your blood meso explosion, right? You want to make sure that you can keep like killing stuff with that. And of course, as soon as you enter Cernium, that's going to be a little bit harder. But so in order to do that, we'll make sure that the fundamentals in the account are good. So that's going to be mostly the stuff that you're wearing both when you're in drop rate and meso gear, and the stuff that you're also going to be wearing when you're in damage gear. So essentially, that's going to be your WSE mostly, and then making sure that your matrix, and then that those are good, and that your what's the third thing? Well, the third thing is like everything else kind of combined, right?
Right. But yeah, I think one of the questions is like, 'cause right now there's like three things I could dump my money, my meso in. It's like WSE, getting to them to legendary potential, or drop gear, or the rest of the stuff. So like, should I just go ham on my emblem? Like, I mean, I'm gonna be transitioning into Absolab dagger, and like also the shield is like I don't know, should I even like roll the potential, because it's not fully starred yet, so it's not 20 star yet, so like, should I even bother pushing the potential? So
right, yeah. So typically, if there's items and there's two major factors, right? One is like how much damage do you get per meso that you spend, and the second factor is like how long are you gonna hold on to the item. Those are things that usually determine like what the priority is of what you upgrade, and also like how much would you push on it. So the third factor that looks, but like I guess the main factor that oversees all of that is like, do you need damage, right? Is there a requirement for damage, or just a desire for damage? If you right now in the situation that you're in, you can kill all the monsters around your level, right? You have no problems. Then what you could say is, I am going to go first for the drop in the meso gear, because stuff has like 6 or maybe 9% luck at the most, right? If I get it up to legendary, it'll probably still have 6 or 9%, but also drop in meso, so my money will go up per hour, the amount of drops will go up per hour, and the amount of backups from bosses will go up as well, as and the amount of cubes and that kind of stuff, right? As you're doing your weekly bosses. And then as you get to a higher level, and then that'll mean that your income will go up, which means that you can start working on your weapon, your secondary, and emblem faster, and you can start making better decisions there. And because you have longer to get more backups, that means that once upgrades come into play in terms of star forcing and taking things like past 17 stars, and once that starts coming into play, you'll have more backups to play with, and it'll also be clearer what will be a higher priority based on the amount of backups that you have at that point. So if right now you're able to kill like all the stuff around your level, then you could go first for drop in meso gear. But if you're still like, if you just enter to do area and you're unsure about your kill speed and everything, we could, like you said, we could go first into like the emblem, to get that to legendary, get the shield to legendary. And the reason we would get the shield to legendary is because you would hold on to it for super long. And even if it does boom from star forcing, the potential will just get saved in the trace and go onto the next shield like nothing happened, and you just start star forcing there. So you'll never lose that potential, because eventually you'll just end up with a 20-star shield with that same potential.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, but like you said, the weapon will probably just transfer hammer into the Absolab, right? So you could work a little bit on the Star Force and transfer hammer it over, and you just lose 1 Star Force in the process, and then just finish it off again. But the potential we wouldn't work on, because the Star Force in transfer hammering goes down to at the most to epic. So there we would lose money. So when you are training, do you have good kill speed in the maps that you're in?
I only do the dailies right on the main, because usually it's like training a Legion meal like pretty much take up like almost the entire day. So I just do the dailies, but I can clear I can one tap everything, almost everything on Moonbridge. Like, it's just some of the higher level stuff. Like I need a 2 tap. I haven't even touched Labyrinth yet, because I've been just so busy with the Legion and stuff.
Yeah, we can see if there's like some small things where you can make like insane gains, but you've only just started with Absolab, so it'll take a few weeks. And have you done weeklies as well, like Scrapyard?
Yes, I think I have enough coin for because I need what I think I need is 7 coins total from Damien for the weapon and shoulder, and then the rest is from Lotus. So it's basically what 140 and 120. So yeah, I think I'm fine.
Yeah, 140 and 120. Yeah, 7 and 6, and then you can get all of them. Well, yeah. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, and you've got like epic and 6% on everything. That's good. That's good value. You got this old pendant. That'll work with us for a while. You've got something of the flame and everything.
Yeah, this pendant I got it from the box that they gave it for free. So
yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just checking if there's any like obvious things. But it seems like you've already got all of the obvious stuff pretty well done. There's maybe
yeah, when it comes to the ring, because like I have a because we're getting 2 free ring box this event, right?
Yep.
So yeah, right. And one of my questions is also like, what are like the ring? So my plan is like, okay, because I also became Meister today, so I could craft a Meister ring right now if I want to. So and but later in the event, I'm probably going to swap out 2 of these rings for like the event rings, and then like just turn like 3 of the rings right here into just drop in meso gear. Is that a good idea?
So one of the rings comes with the unique scroll, right? And the other one comes with a legendary scroll. So that's already some money that you can have saved there. Honestly, when you're making your first drop or a meso gear and stuff, it doesn't really matter which pieces they are. One of the things that might happen is that when you're rolling in legendary, you actually end up rolling like 24, 27, or 30% stat. And if that happens, you want to keep that stat, of course, use it as a damage ring, and then just make another legendary and then keep going until you have all of your drop and meso gear completed, basically. So you want to stay like flexible with that, and you don't necessarily mean like it has to all be like the base stats of the items for your accessories are not super important early on. So what's more important is that your matrix is going the right way, right? That your symbols, right? That those are leveling, that final damage is gone, that your level is going, is tracking with the area that you're in, and that your weapon, secondary, and emblem are bringing a lot of damage. That's where you want to like get all of your damage from, basically. And then, you know, a little bit more from CRA, a little bit more from Absolab when that starts coming. But you don't want to really rely on damage for your accessories at all. You kind of just want to see them as just meso and drop rate. That's really what they're there for. So if you do end up rolling stat, then that becomes a damage piece and you just make, you know, another ring. But you want to stay flexible in that, whether you will need everything on this guy and whether you need to make a whole bunch of a specific set. Don't like lock in yet on like these are the exact rings I'm going to be using, because the potential might switch the function of the ring before you get there.
Okay, gotcha. So okay, be flexible. Right.
Yeah, because the regular just getting a legendary item is usually around the bill. That's usually how I think about it. But if the potential is like 24, 27%, the value of the ring could suddenly go up by a whole lot, and then it wouldn't be worth rolling over that. It would be cheaper to just make another one, because even up to like 8 legendary rings or something, you still have a bunch of functions between meso, between drop, between damage. You'll still find a function for them later. So some people are like, oh, I never, you know, Silver Blossom ring, I'm not going to get that past epic because it's so shitty, it's low level. Maybe even the Epheus ring. And then, but even getting that to legendary, it's going to bring its money back, you know, in many times before you need to switch over. Because what comes after this, like Superior Ring, like you said, Meister Ring, High Star Force Kana Treasure Ring, that kind of stuff, that might take a while before you get there, right? And in that time, sorry?
I did the Princess Noble 5 weeks and she's not dropping.
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? So that might make it take even longer, but why is she not dropping? Because your drop rate is low. And that's why we want the drop rate and the meso gear, right? So one thing is like working on getting the drop and the meso gear. Well, first thing, you want to make sure that you have your kill speed, right? Because once you can kill all the monsters, then you're kind of like capped on how many monsters can I kill. So then we work on drop and meso so that we can increase, because the quantity is now max, but now we want to increase the quality per kill, so that even though we're killing like the same, you know, whatever, 8,000 monsters, because we have more drop and meso, it'll be like we're killing 8,000 monsters, but we're getting the drops of like 16,000 monsters in the same amount of time, right? That's why the drop and the meso gear is so good, because it's like amplifying past what the limit of the game is in terms of monster kills. And it's the same thing with like, you know, IED and boss damage and all of that, is like you have damage reduction, but if you can take away how much your damage is getting reduced by, then all of our other upgrades become more efficient. And that's what you eventually want to get to. So you said you were mostly one-shotting, but maybe in the higher level areas not yet?
No, not yet. I doubt I'm one-shotting in Labyrinth, so yeah. Maybe I should probably. Maybe once I get the Absol weapon, I and probably push the weapon and push the emblem first, and then then I'll see where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, for most people, it'll be weapon. It will be like WSE first to legendary. That'll just make more sense because it's also not super duper expensive. But just remember, if you're going for legendary, you want to have 2 useful lines, right? Otherwise, it's not really worth pushing all the way up to legendary. You want to make sure, like, if it's a damaging piece. Like on rare, 1 line. On epic, 1 line, right? The prime line. On unique, prime line, maybe 1.5 kind of thing, right? And then on legendary, you want to go for at least 2 lines. You want to have that budget. So if you know you don't have the money to tier up and afford the roll, then don't do the tier up at all and just wait until you have more money. Because otherwise you increase the risk that all of your money goes into the tier up, and then you don't have anything more to roll, so actually you made a downgrade, right? So you want to make sure they have a little bit over the money required, so you end up with something nice. So for emblem, either a line of attack and a line of IED, or 2 lines of attack, or maybe be a line of attack and a line of crit and a line of stat, something like that, where you can kind of be like, it's almost like 2 lines, right? And then you can always circle back later to make it better, but for that initial roll, you want to have around the equivalent of like 2 good useful lines.
2 functional lines. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then for the shield, depending on how quick the weapon comes, right? So if the weapon is still not there and you have the money, you can work on the shield and do the same thing. Secondary has more junk lines though, right? So it'll be a little bit harder to find what you're looking for, but you'll probably end up with a combination of boss and weapon attack, most likely on the shield. And and then when you get the Absol weapon, you can transform this one into it, and it'll come out as epic, and it'll get your stars -1. So we do have the event coming up, but yeah, it probably won't take that long.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it on the 5, 10, 15. I'm going on vacation, so
okay, that's unfortunate.
I'm going to miss that. So I'm probably going to try and push the Fafnir weapon to on the 30% off instead. So.
Yeah, even if you Yeah, that's probably fine. Yeah, I mean, it costs 15 to 16 is just gonna fail a lot. Unfortunate. Yeah, that's just. But that is what it is. It's still gonna be cheaper than doing it off event. So, so that's one thing to look at, right? Like, how much is that roughly? Like, what are your projects roughly going to be together on 5, 10, 15 to see how much money do you want at that day, and that'll determine how much you can save up and spend on cubing before then to see if you can already make some gains before then. So in general, in the scale of things, I like having most of your stuff at like 12 star, and then going for legendary WSE, then for drop and meso stuff, then event for 15, event for 17. Just because you have a lot of stuff at 15 already, but like 30% offs are really good to get things to 15, make it a lot cheaper. But also between like 11 or 12 and 15 is quite a decent amount of money per piece, but almost no stat gain, almost nothing, because you're basically just paying to get into 15 plus. That's where all the gain is, because that's where all the weapon attack is and the big stat. But up to 15 is actually kind of like throwing your money away if you're not immediately also going past 15. So it's like a general rule of thumb. If that money instead was like in like a legendary emblem right now and like a legendary shield, then we could immediately start now with drop and meso, make the money, and then maybe make more gains during the event instead. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
So that's usually how I would like organize them. You know, in a perfect world, right? Like right now, it's a pretty good scenario if you were able to make both of the Sundays, because you have 30% off first, because then you could push everything to 15, right? And then basically spend all your money, and then have 3 weeks to make your money back, and then push it all for 15 to 17. So that's actually an ideal scenario, because that means that before that first event, you could just be sitting on 10 or 11 star stuff and just work purely on potentials until the event comes around.
Yeah, I guess what I'm going to do is probably try and push everything to 15, but since I'm going to miss the 5, 10, 15 day, I'm going to hold out until dining in summer, because I think I need a little bit. I think I need a bit of damage, but I think between arcane symbols and a little bit of boost should be it. And then like the new Absolab weapon, I should be able to clear Labyrinth. Should be
Yeah,
fine.
Absolab weapon will be a decent jump, and we'll also get it to legendary, right? So better potential, better base stats, better flame. That'll be a decent amount, and then the V matrix is probably going to grow a decent amount from the events now with all the nodes, and the special event at the end, and the next anniversary event after this is also really big for good nodes, a lot of EXP nodes and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of damage from that. And essentially, and people have it now as well, kind of have the same thing that you have, but they have, you know, really good drop gear. But then they were like, do I need to make insane drop gear? Do I need like 21 or 22 star drop gear with like double lines of drop and meso and that kind of stuff? And it's always like, if you want to make the equips so that you can immediately move on to the next area as soon as you have it on, you're gonna need overpowered gear, and that's gonna be very expensive. But if you're okay with waiting like a week or 2 or 3 until you get a little bit more sacred power or arcane power, or you get a little bit more work on your matrix, V or Hexa, right? Or you get a little bit more upgrades on other stuff, then the total amount of damage you'll need will only be maybe like 5% less, but that 5% in how much money that is to get that extra 5% is usually an insane amount. Right, it's way less money because you're going into very inefficient, increasingly like inefficient areas of how much money it takes to make the same amount of gain again that you just did, right? If you're trying to gain 3% and you already only have 0% on your equip, it's very cheap. But if you already have 15% and you get train 3%, then it's much more expensive, right? So the same gains get more and more expensive. So you want to make sure that you're okay with maybe not going at a super rocket pace, but taking a little bit of a step and just realizing that as soon as you get to a next area, it's just going to get a little bit rougher for a little bit, but you'll settle into it after not too long.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, because I believe when I started at Vanishing Journey, everything seems fine, but then things just start to get out of hand when I get to Choo-Choo. So, yeah, I definitely know what you're saying. So, okay, yeah.
Maybe like Choo-Choo and Yum Yum, and then Lacaline. Yeah, like you, every new area, you're like in the first 2 maps maybe, but if you go to like map number 7 or 8, you're like, okay, this is, and the level difference and the arcane power difference, right? Like that multiplies with each other, and then a lot of your damage, especially on the Shadower, because you want the Bloody Pocket to be able to kill, right? Or to help kill, and then that gets weaker and weaker as you. That's one of the additive problems, and something to be aware about, of course, is that you have like particle effects that need to kill. So that is something where you have to decide, like, you know, am I okay with not killing all the monsters in a map? But remember, if you can't kill full monsters in a map, then being in drop and meso is also going to lose some efficiency, because you're not multiplying as many monsters potential drop with the drop stuff that you have. So it might be better to stay in a lower level area for a bit and have more monster kills and then get more drops. With that more drops, make more money, make the upgrades, and then move on to the higher level area when you had a little bit more time to make the better gear and had a little bit more time to get, you know, V matrix up, more final damage there, and the symbols up, more final damage or less final damage reduction from arcane power there, essentially.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the opposite when training mules, right? Because it's like, oh, right, you want to go to like an area like 10 level above you, so you can get as much XP as possible, and then keep moving and moving and moving. So.
Yeah, it's more now that than before, because the way it was when we were still Reboot before Heroic is that the level difference penalty was very big. So if you try to go a monster more than 10 levels above you on a mule, you just couldn't really kill it, because you have like 40 or 50% damage reduction. So it was just ridiculous. So you didn't want to move up too quickly. You wanted to kill more monsters around your level. Now you can go a little bit wider, because the EXP bonus is lesser, but the penalty is also lesser now. So now you can go a little bit higher above your level and still maintain the kill speed, yeah. Maintain kill speed and maintain EXP rates, yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Alright, so I guess that's all the equipment problem. So try to get a little bit more damage, and then work on meso and drop gear. Okay.
Yeah, I think the fundamentals would have to be a little bit higher with the attack. And the fact, yeah, the shield can get some extra attack. That's nice. But I think that'll be the general order. That's just usually the general order. And sometimes Star Force events, yeah, they just come a little bit too early for you or at a wrong time. You know, it doesn't feel good, but they are pretty cyclical. They do come by pretty regularly. So if you just can't make crazy gains now, or it just is better for you to work on drop in meso and throw all the money in there instead. And then the way you want to think about it is, well, next time the event comes, I'll have more money and more backups, so I'll be able to make bigger gains.
All right. Give me 1 second. My parents is vacuuming. Give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sorry about that. Yeah, did you hear the vacuum?
No, I didn't hear it. You're good.
Okay, that's good. So I was worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's go back to the list and see. So that covers the meso part. Yes.
Yeah. Meso and drop. So meso and drop will also be in other things, right? So there's also like coupons and stuff that you can get access to. Making wops. It'll be part of the Legion artifact system as well, and it'll also be in your inner ability. So it's good to have all of that working together, and then drop rate part will also have familiars in it. So that's like a whole batch that it's kind of annoying, but if you have those foundations good, like your inner ability is already good, right? You've got the drop and the meso there, and because you're on a shadowy, you don't need attack speed, you don't need buff duration, right? This is great for you as an inner ability for a long time, until your main character is no longer like the main provider for your entire account, but bossing mules and everything will take over where a lot of the stuff comes from. Then you won't need this inner ability as much anymore. But remember, in Dreamer, we're most likely getting multiple inner abilities, so then you can start working on a second one for more bossing, and then switch between the two based on what you're doing.
Yeah, because I'm probably is going to be keep for a very long time, because the only way this get better is the drop rate get to 20%, and that's basically almost impossible.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna when Dreamer rolls around, I'm just gonna make a a boss page instead. So
yeah, that's best. Yeah, save all the honor exp you can. Maybe get some from event shops and stuff like that, right? All that honor exp, and then just delve that into trying to get a bossing page. You probably just go. I think you go boss damage to debuffed, and buff duration. I think, right?
I think it's boss damage, damage to abnormal, and maybe and then it's just attack. So
yeah, I think attack will probably get switched because of the update with buff duration, because we'll have more uptime on terms and conditions, right? The Angelic Buster Link skill. That's 60%. Yeah, you get it by then, but it's like 60% damage for 10 seconds. So the buff duration will affect it, and now it's a 90-second cooldown, but it'll go down to a 60-second, and we'll have even more buff duration as well in the Legion artifact system. So that's pretty much always going to outscale the attack on the inner ability. I think those Shadowers, there is like a niche where people go, but I think it's more supporty, but people go cooldown skip, just because you could potentially cooldown skip your your smoke screen, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's
that's kind of like that's kind of like kind of relying on like the 20%. So
yeah, no, it is. Yeah, that's definitely the kind of Hail Mary, as we call it, right?
Yep, it's just kind of like I could do consistently 20% more boss damage, or Hail Mary get more 10% damage.
So. Makes more sense. And the other thing is the potions and stuff. So one is like coupons is bringing up your Legion, right? So that's an important thing to work on. Priorities for me is usually like Legion is if you're not someone who likes to go in width, right, like horizontally, and you really just trying to go like vertical with your main character, then Legion is just something you kind of do only just in function of your main character. And then at that point, I would say you just look at when are there events out that make it a lot better to work on Legion, and then you take some time away from your main character. But as long as that doesn't exist, or you've capped that out, then you immediately just go back to your main character and spend the time there.
Okay. Yeah, because right now, speaking of Legion, it's just like because the goal originally was to get to 6K, but then like I listened to your stream and like look at all your videos, and just like 6K doesn't really like you unlock the full grid, but like you can't put anything in. So you basically have to go all the way to 2K. So
a lot of it is open, yeah. Well, I would just say go as far as the event lets you, and then take a breather, and then just circle back to it. Because like right now you still have room for what is it, like 21 more characters, right? That can count. So even if they're just level 100, that's another 2.1k, right?
Because about I know it's like 8, 24,
Or maybe
20.
Maybe fewer. Yeah. You can see here if you have 21 members assigned. Oh yeah, no, I don't see the other number. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, so 24 plus. There's 28.
30?
28 plus 3. So yeah, that's 3.
31. Yeah. So yeah, so there's still 11 more, right? So even that is another 1.1k. Yeah. And so if you're really trying to get the 6k out, then really it's a matter of just evenly doing the potions and just giving them all even. But then what will happen is you'll have a bunch of 160s, 170s that can't do anything because they'll basically have level 140 gear and they'll be expected to kill level 180 monsters and they won't really be able to. So on the characters that you want to train, I would throw, like, you know, not yet, but like eventually once you do the bossing and the cubes are not really useful in your main anymore because they're just going to ruin your potentials and everything. Then you can slowly start bringing up the characters, you know, give them like epic weapon and secondary and emblem, for example. Give them 6% attack on there. And you have bigger Legion and Links by then. And then you can train them whenever there's more of a training event. Right now there's more of a boosting event, right? Like a lot of potions and stuff. And there's the EXP coupons and stuff, which is basically really good to take characters that are not funded, that you don't like playing, and get them to a higher level, like up to 200, for example. And then you want to prioritize the ones that have good double S blocks, right? So you already have the Zero, for example, is a really good one. The Evan and the Errand Arc, like those are nice, but those are mostly good at 210. So maybe using the EXP stuff to get them towards 210 would be a good idea. But you always want to have a few characters in every stage. So like, which character is the next one? If there's a training event, which 1 or 2 characters would I like to train? And then give them like a little bit of funding with some free stuff that you don't really need in your main anymore. And then you look at like which characters do I not want to train at all? Okay, this is going to be like extreme growth potions, maybe event EXP, but event EXP still scales decently well, even for higher level characters for a while. So that's usually more something that I do for like 200 to 210, for example. That's usually where I do like the EXP tickets, right? And then the growth potions and stuff, well, for me, all of it goes on to 200 plus now for my account, right? But that, otherwise, the growth potions is all like 141. The lower you use it, the more levels you will gain from it. And the higher you do it, the more time you will gain from it, because the character will be super weak and it'll represent more time. And ultimately, that's an important factor, of course. And yeah, but you won't be expected to get 8k like immediately, right? So that's why I have the progression grid, so you can kind of keep track of like, what is a healthy balance for all of the things that give you damage, so that you can kind of know like where do you want to spend your time to make sure that you get value out of your time. So if you're like around this area here and your Legion is like, where's the Legion here? Is like going up towards 6k, like you're fine if that, you know, by even if you were going over 260 and over 270 and you're not 8k yet, like that's fine. Because the main thing is going to be all of the member bonuses added together of all the characters in the grid, right? And the full grid bonus, and the Legion coins that they make, and then the coupons and stuff that you get from that. That is already going to be a lot of value. And there are going to be events where your time will just be more efficient spending it on Legion than on anything else. And this is one of those where it's not really that efficient to spend time on your Legion. It's more efficient to give your rewards from the event to your Legion, kind of thing right now. So if all the things you do with Legion now is just make a new character, get it to level 60, the next day get it to level 100 or something, and then the next day you make another new character, get it to 60, the day after that get it to 100, just like one character every 2 days, then you know in like less than 2 weeks you'll have your 42 characters, right, who will count for Legion. And then you slowly bring the lower level characters up towards 141. The ones that you don't like to train get like growth potions and get up to like 160 something. If you divide them evenly, maybe 170. The ones that you do like training, you just kind of leave maybe a lower level, and then you just train them whenever there's an event where you get like bonus EXP. Like right now you have those explosions, right? Those are pretty good, but you only have 10 of those. So it's not really worth trying to level an extra character off of that, I don't think. But sometimes we have an event like that where it's...
Sorry? We're getting a lot of bong parts, so we're just like, yeah. a lot of people.
Yeah, but you'll never have enough to do everything to 200, right? I mean, right now you get a lot, right? Because are you doing the 3 per day for the exploration?
Yeah, I completed it too. Like everything like went to the arc because I want to push the arc to. Yeah, I mean for the dragon mini game, like everything was going to the arc, trying to get the level 3 Solus, and
yeah,
I'm also like for the scavenger hunt, I'm getting all the potion as well. So I think, but right now I'm deciding between trying to push the Demon Avenger or go to get him to all the way to 200, so he'll be in the daily waiting room, and then maybe like also like give him the dragon minigame and then just push him all the way to 210 to get Wild Rage level 3.
Yep.
If not, then like I'm gonna probably like bonk the Hayato because I hate the Hayato. Like he had like 0 crit rate at the beginning and just like
why? Past 200 with like 5th job it gets way better, but up to 200, yeah, most people. I mean, it's just outdated and it's non-KMS, so he didn't get enough love for like you have like the Falcon's Honor and like it's doable, but nobody likes getting a Hayato to 200 really. It's a completely different class after 200. Becomes like crazy dashing all over the place with like insane damage and endless AoEs. Yeah.
But getting there is just a pain.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah. Well, in the beginning, right? You're still like growing your entire account, so it's not like you have all of that damage and all of that value that's already coming in to kind of alleviate that, to kind of like counteract, right? Basically, what you're doing, your character has a kit. And what you're trying to build with your Legion, your Link skills, your hyper stats, your all of that with your familiars, is you're trying to see like where are the weaknesses of the character, where can you fill those up, and where are the strengths and where can you support those, right? And make those even bigger. That's what you're trying to do, trying to optimize with all of the settings. But if you don't have access to those things yet, all you're left with is the base kit. And if the base kit has a weakness, that's just going to drag you down, right? Like some characters just start with like 30% critical rate or something. And if you don't have Legion and Links yet, just everything you hit is a non-crit. So that means critical damage doesn't apply. It just means that monsters just don't die. Or some die in 1 hit and some die in like 4 hits, which is very inconsistent. And then that's bad, right? So that's why it's good, like once you can get that 100% crit rate, then boom. Now you can give everyone crit rate, and now every single character can immediately start applying their damage, right? So that's why I have this. Have you seen stuff like for my commands? Because I don't know if you've seen videos, right?
Oh yeah, I use it consistently, so.
Okay, yeah. Did you have any questions on these specifically, by the way? Since I mean, if you're on here, do you have any questions on any commands that I have where maybe you've run into some problems?
The progression, I think there is one. Let's see. What was it? Yeah, for functional damage percent. Like, how could I tell? Because it's like 0 to 225. So, like, what is that? What is that up to?
Functional damage percent. So what do I have written down here? Oh, let's see. Because if you have the little black corners, then there's extra explanation in the notes here. So it says stat window, bonus damage percent, and boss damage percent with 100% uptime. So make sure that it is not something that you just buff for like 30 seconds and it's down for 3 minutes, but something that you always have up. So this is basically keeping track of not getting too many boss lines in your weapon secondary and emblem, essentially, is what this is looking at.
Oh, gotcha.
Let me double check actually if they still have the same name, because otherwise, so we have to look at here damage. Okay, so it's just called damage now. Damage and the boss damage, yeah. So I'll take the bonus damage away. See, now we're updating it, right? Damage percent and boss damage percent. That's what they're called, yeah. So some classes have high percent, and these numbers are like really, really low for them. But for other characters, sometimes it's tricky, right? So the critical damage, you'll notice, is not in here. And that's because some classes just have way more than others. And then if I put a number in there, it just doesn't really translate as well. I would have to be like, except if you're one of these 6 classes, and then you want to be, it starts getting really complicated then. So it's trying to condense it all into one. But that makes sense, right?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah, because there's just too many factors. But like, I believe even like for Assassinate, like we get 50% final damage boost from weaving, so
Yeah, and that's why final damage is also not in here, because there's a huge difference between classes, and I'd hate for one class to think like, oh no, I suck at this stat, but you just can't possibly get that much, and for another class to think, oh, I have too much, I need like less final damage or something. Like, no, that would also be wrong. So some stats I just can't really put in there. Okay, so familiar-wise, do you feel... sorry, familiar-wise. Legion-wise, did you have more specific Legion questions?
I guess so. Yeah, for this event, I think I'm just the plan would be just kind of. I think I'm going to fill out the rest of the character slot and then boost the level 3 Link's character first, and then probably boost the character that I really don't want to deal with, like Hayato and Kana. So.
Yeah, that'd be fine. And those are also high on the list on like double S Legion blocks, so you want to get those, so you're also prioritizing that way. So that sounds good. Sounds like you have a good plan there. And then the other thing that we talked about is like drop rate. How's the drop rate looking on your familiars?
Oh, it's just a very basic one, so that's why it's
small amount. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you have, go for it.
That's why I asked at the beginning, just like, well, shouldn't I just go back to my main and just start farming familiars? But I should probably get drop first, and then do the familiar farming.
Yeah, then you will get more value, but yeah, how are you going to get money if you're also not training on the character? The only way to do that is really to kill bosses, but you're done with your bosses that you can kill pretty quickly in the week, right? So what you can do is if you don't really want to train or you don't find as much time to train, what I like to do is like if I can get access to some coupons, take like half an hour with coupons, do my dailies, and then whenever the dailies are done, I just keep going until my coupons are finished and what the highest level map is where I do my dailies. And then that way you can make sure that you get the nice EXP from the dailies on your character every day, and you also get a little bit of training in, but it doesn't feel like a chore, it doesn't feel like work pretty much, because you're just doing it as you're going, you're kind of like combining the two.
Okay.
But I think if you're scaling down, or once you have all the characters made for your Legion, there will be some extra time that opens up. And I would say training on the main, it's not necessarily like don't do it because you don't have drop in meso yet, because you'll need to make the money from training first to be able to invest into the drop in meso, and then you'll see even more time for your rates. But you'll need time to build up there, right? So the other thing is like getting more drop rate from the familiars. So keep revealing the rare cards that you get, right? And look for the increases item drop rate. And then once you have enough drop rate between the inner ability, between drop rate on your equips, then you will have 100% chance for a bag to drop, and then you won't need to equip the meso drop rate familiar anymore. And you can switch that one out to a card that you need to level up, so you can start making epic cards. And then once you're making epic cards, then you want to reveal and look for increases item drop rate by a large amount, because that'll be 100% drop. So right now what you have is 30, and then the increases item drop rate from rare will be 50, and then the unique one is 100. That's what you're looking for.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the last other thing, well, because you already know about coupons, and you have your cost of your Legion upgrade as well, so you can't go too hard on coupons for now. But there's also Threads of Fate on making WAPs and E-ups. Have you looked into that at all?
Oh yeah, I still need to do that. Thank God they finally they updated the whole profession thing. So yeah, I'm going. That's definitely on my definitely pushed up on my priority list. So.
Yeah, the reason it's important is because WAPs give you final, like the meso obtained there is multiplicative with everything. So it increases your percentage by a lot and increases the value of all the other sources of meso obtained you already have. So that's why that one is really good to start on early, because then you'll just get more value out of your time, right? When you're training, it'll just feel better because you can see the number go up more.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything else with familiars you had any questions on?
Familiar is fine. I should also work on unlocking the first slot as well, because I just need the 11th badge there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, some of the badges are just free on higher level, so it would make sense to just not push too hard. It's especially like the Like the later levels, so you have Moonbridge, Labyrinth, and Limina all have a really, really easy one. But for that, you can check !familiars. I've got a little guide there with information on the bottom, and also shows like which badges are easy to get and which ones are a bit harder to get, so that you can see specifically which ones you want to go for. So you can time that a bit more.
Yeah, I'm 9 out of 10, but I'm just too lazy to get the last one.
Oh, it's just the last one, yeah. You got the Labyrinth one already?
No, not yet.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, if you just
I haven't even started the quest line.
Okay. Well, you'll have to one day, right? Otherwise, the progression is gonna stagnate.
Yeah, because it's just like Legion, and then and like I know I get what you're saying about like the making like 60 like a bunch of level 60s, but like I would usually push it to 140 because of the whole link skill thing. Because I don't feel like like keep swapping link skill, and like once you go beyond 5, you just have to pay. Just you don't want to pay for something. You usually just transfer for free. So.
No, that's true, yeah. And you make a little bit more money in that level, and then you can just afford the character slot immediately with that new character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just buy another one, yeah. Okay, so that's drop and meso pretty much completed. If you have additional questions, you can always check !drop rate. That also has more information on when you're building out the drop rate, like what do you look for, like which lines are you looking for, how many, how can you set it up in an efficient way. That's all under here. It's also got like all of the lines of the familiars and what the percentages are, so you can look at those to see what you need once the familiar come in. Exceptions and the terms to make sure that you have everything specific, like what is affected by drop rate, what is not affected by drop rate, that kind of stuff. Coupons, threads of fate. Yeah, it's got like mentions of percentages and everything. So if you need any, specific stuff there, specific goals, what you're trying to aim for, that's all under the drop rate command.
Okay. Alright, yeah, so that's good. That covers... Let me look back on my note as well.
Yeah, I'll check your notes as well.
That covered the time between Legion and Main. That covered the spending. Let's see.
The ring.
Let's see the Mirror Force we talked about. Oh yeah, how do I guess like since I'm like only 2 months in I play this game like seriously for like 2 months, so I don't have these like game sense in a way that like how can I tell that like oh yeah, I'm ready for this boss now, and I can just go I can do it reasonable time. Because like right now I'm looking at myself like at this character like, am I ready for Helix? Like I don't know, I can't tell. So
yeah, it's hard to say. It's definitely hard to say. The ways I try to approach it is, on the one hand, is the progression grid, but it's very clumped together early on until 260, right? And you can imagine as well, like trying to do Helix with or without an origin skill is a huge difference. Like if you have the same gear, but you can bind it and you can just do a big nuke and be immune to damage for 10 seconds, that already makes that boss fight a whole lot easier. There are ways that you can kind of cheese it as well. One way you have to get used to the hitboxes and everything, right? If you're doing Helix, then he has all the attacks. Whenever his eyes light up, you basically want to jump behind him and get to the other side. You have Trick Blade for that, right? Which gets you behind pretty quickly and gives you iframe, so that's very useful for that. And when he does the Pink Breath, the hitbox reaches all the way to the side of the map where he's facing, and slightly behind him as well. So you basically want to keep your Trick Blade for that, otherwise it's just like one shot and you die. But it's a bit of practicing. You can cheese them early on, so as long as you make sure that none of the little potato guys walk into the middle and you don't get any of the purple stacks, you can just leave the map again on the left side and just wait for your cooldowns to come back and then go back in and use your burst again like a few minutes later. If that's what you need to do in the beginning to get those first clears going, then that's totally fine. And then eventually, as you get stronger and you get mechanically better at dodging the attacks and everything, you'll probably just want to just fight him straight up in like a longer fight. But the sooner you start clearing, the sooner you start getting your superior Galax gear and everything, and then that'll just mean also that you can start switching into really strong damage gear. But the combination of good Legion and the superior Galax gear will also usually allow most classes and then a little bit of ID, right, from familiars, will allow most classes to not need ID anymore from any of the WSE and fully roll it into an attack and boss combination, which is not only better like optimization bossing damage, but also typically, because you have more attack lines, also takes a little bit of pressure off of the other gear again for more damage when you're mobbing, because the attack lines will also apply when you're mobbing. So then that means that you can still keep the same gear and still maintain the attack speed, the kill speed a little bit better when you move on to a higher level area that otherwise might be a little bit more troubling if you have like ID and boss damage lines in there instead of straight up attack.
Yeah, the potato is not really much of an issue because I've Dark Flare and since I'm such high level, I have will skill as well. So just pop the will skill and everything should be fine. So.
Yeah, so as long as you're roughly like tracking here, right, with all the numbers in the progression, then you can follow here the levels of when I would just try stuff out. And you know, sometimes if you're just completely lost, maybe you need to like YouTube like a video and like Shadow or Helix, like how do they do it? But most of the time, you know, with like a few practice, the problem with Helix is just like a special one because you only have one entry per boss, right? But most of the other ones, you have practice mode, you have up to 3 boss entries even in a day. You can make a lot of progress from knowing absolutely nothing to being able to kill the boss in a single day, kind of like you know. But you saw the difference between Damien and Lotus, right? Some bosses just makes more sense and are easier, and other ones are just a bit trickier. It'll depend on your class that you're playing as well. So if you're here in like a 250, we'll hope that like Helix has started like being possible again from the 240s. There's class differences there, right? Some classes are really strong at 240, some need a little bit more time. But you have your Lotus and Damien here. A lot of people start running those in parties though, right? They don't start immediately with soloing. So if you start soloing, it's going to be a little bit later. It's going to be more like in this area. And then Easy Lucid is usually done in like just a practice to get used to Lucid mechanics, and then really quickly move on to normal Lucid as quick as you know, as soon as you can do that. And then Easy Will is a little bit before that. But this more comes down to you trying to take all the little steps of the bosses. You don't have to do all of these, but this is when you roughly can start doing these, I would say.
Yeah, because since my character is burned, like a lot of these stuff is also jumbled up. Like my 255, like my 250 level is kind of like a bit of a fake. So.
Yeah, it's rough to approximate it like really clear. I saw someone else posted this with like how much combat power you need, but also combat power, again, it doesn't encompass everything on how strong you are. So the numbers aren't... It's really hard to just say one number is like this one you can do it, because some classes have higher numbers with the same amount of damage, right? Some use some self buffs and then suddenly get a whole bunch of extra combat power out of it. These approximations seemed okay, but they do basically account for having this combat power, but also having all of these other stats that I have here in the progression grid, also tracking that combat power. So it's not a combat power that determines that, but it's having a completely, or not completely, but like roughly balanced and even upgrading of everything, and that's like kind of taken for granted with this. But yeah, it's like if I say, oh, if you have 1,000,000 damage range, you can do this, but then, you know, it's in the same way it's a bad predictor, because some characters with 1,000,000 damage range can do a whole lot and others don't do any damage because, oh, maybe your ID isn't high enough, and then right now no damage goes through. So ID, for example, also is not included in combat power, so that's why ID is like specified here. But again, these numbers are also, you know, they're kind of like older numbers. It's not wrong, but yeah, combat power is just, yeah, I don't like it as a number to really go off of, basically.
There's too many factors to...
Yeah, like, it loses... The problem is if you have too many numbers, it gets too complicated. So if you reduce it to one number, it gets simpler, but you lose all the nuance. And then you can lose too much nuance, and then the number might become wrong again. So there's no winning there, really.
I guess the bottom line is just like, you know, go in there and try. Like if you can't kill it quickly in a reasonable time, then kind of like come back later.
Yeah, so if you feel like you're just getting destroyed, ask another Shadower, like as the class Discord, for example. Look up some videos, ask for some tips, right, in a stream or on a YouTube video or something like that. if you are just like lagging and it's bad, try to see if you can get a party. Maybe run it with 2 people or 3 people, because the coins in the end are instants, so you still get the coin progress. You'll just have to figure out some kind of way of like sharing the drops, because the drops are shared. And your pets will auto loot them, so be careful because it's a daily boss. And if you're like doing everything you can, but you just can't possibly kill it and you don't have the damage, then you need to go to the drawing board, look at the numbers, and see if you're off anywhere on the numbers, or just come back later when you make upgrades, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can use the dailies command to kind of see, like, is it even worth like jumping in there, or am I like way out of my league, you know? So that you have a little bit of indication there. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's only like 2 more things, really. 3 more things. Nodes. When it comes to the node shard, like, am I still at the point where, like, should I just spend my node shard on just crafting node stone instead?
Yeah, I'm crafting node stones. Yeah. Because you have 20 things that are good to gain levels on right now.
Yeah, because I remember your stream saying it's kind of like it depends on the situation, on the stage of the games, and I think I'm still kind of like, I think it's still not like nothing is max level yet, so I should still just kind of like re-rolling nodestone is the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, once you have, I would say once your boost nodes get to like level, so some classes they need like a skill node maxed ASAP, and they just need to craft that skill. You don't really have that as Shatterer, right? You don't have anything that like gains a lot of uptime or adds an insane amount of damage. Like you have your, I guess your Shadow Walker is pretty good, and your Last Resort gains final damage. Like those are pretty good, but you need to make sure that you are keeping up with like the monster killing and the leveling first, right? Get that done, and again get the monster clear, keep that up, so that then you can get the drop rate stuff, and then with the drop rate stuff you get more nodes, and then these guys can keep rolling. So usually, if you don't have any specific thing that jumps out like that, you basically want to be crafting node stones probably until your boost nodes all are around like in the 20s, like 21, 22, around there. And then you probably want to start prioritizing more crafting skill nodes, because your boost nodes will eventually get those last few levels anyway from just opening more node stones. And the other thing is also, it's final damage, but the final damage from the boost nodes is additive with each other, right? So if you're gaining 10% final damage and you don't have any yet, it's 10% final damage. But if you're getting 10% final damage on top of 110 you already have, then it's only 1/11th of that, so it's only like... the base is like 100, so plus 110, so it's 210, so it's 10 out of 210. So that's 121st, so that's like 4.5%. So that's only half as efficient, right? Because it's additive with itself. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So then it's fine to not really want to push those last few levels, and you get much more value out of getting those skill nodes up, because your skill nodes all have pretty short cooldowns as well. So that means that you will get a lot of... You use them pretty frequently, so increasing their damage will make sure that you're, in terms of your total DPM that you're doing, is that they will improve your overall damage quite a bit as well.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely clear things up. And I guess the last thing would be guild
stuff, right?
Yeah. So I never really joined a guild before, so like I can't, and never been in a series. Like the last memory of me doing party play in MapleStory was like doing the PQ like back in like 20 years ago, like you're doing Frankenstein trying to level. Like,
okay,
that is my...
that was a Romeo and Juliet PQ, that one?
Yep, that one. That was my only experience when it comes to party playing in MapleStory. Like, and like, I'm pretty sure that's outdated, so...
Oh yeah, we had to do a little bit of that for like a quest before, but yeah, basically it was really good for... It was just the same EXP or even better than training, but now, because of grinding becoming almost as good or better in some situations, fewer people started showing up, and then it takes longer to make a party, so people are like, well, I'm not going to wait around to make a party if I can just train, and then more people train, and then before you know it, nobody shows up and nobody does it anymore, and that's kind of how stuff moves, I guess.
Yes, that's how the nature of the game moves. So
yeah,
because since I guess like in a couple of months, probably gonna move into, once I get all my meso and all my gear like upgraded. I'm going to start doing Party Lotus, Party Lucid. So I'm just kind of like, okay, so like, what should I need to know? Like, what do others expect of me, and what should I expect of them in a party play? So that's definitely that's my question.
Well, party is one thing and guild is another thing, right? Like you can be in a guild and party with people in the guild, but you can party with other people, party with friends, or you can party with randos in the boss recruitment, right? I always try to tell people like it doesn't have to be one or the other. Definitely joining a guild has to be part of that has to be because you feel like you can offer something to the guild and because you feel like the guild gives you something in return, right? There has to be some kind of exchanging of value. So if a guild is like, well, you can join, but you have to make sure that you get like 8,000 culvert score, well then you know that if I don't get that, then I can't possibly join, so I'll have to get that at least. Which in your situation right now would be completely impossible, right? Like you just can't do that. So that's not something that you can offer to the guild, so whatever they have to offer, that's not something you want. So it's good to find a guild that either is like no commitment, if you don't want any pressure, right? If you're like, like most weeks I won't have any time to I have barely any time to play, so I'm just trying to get like some passive guild skills that are already built up, and as long as I don't do anything, I don't get any bonus guild skills, for example, but they also don't ask me of anything, and then that's fine, like low commitment, and a guild offers that, then that's a good guild for you at that time. But as soon as you can play more, or you start asking for more, like, hey, I want to get access to good guild skills, and the guild is like, okay, but then you have to do at least this much flag, this much culvert, whatever they decide, and you're okay with that, then you could be like, okay, I'm going to do that. But if the guild's like, that's not possible, then maybe you look for another guild that does offer that, right? You want to be in the same stage. But what is important is that you communicate, that you ask, that you look at what are the requirements before joining. Is there like a possibility to grow into a different role if I want to do more stuff? And if there's not, are there juniors available? Are there guild leaders available that you can contact and you can be like, hey, I want to do this and this. How should we go about that? Is that possible? If it's not, maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to start looking for a different guild then. Or if it is, how can we work together to make it possible, basically?
Okay, so I guess I can go to render and then just practice on covert and practice on flag, because I've never done that. So I mean, I guess I don't mind doing it, especially now that they made it a lot more simpler and a lot quicker.
Oh, so, yeah. Good quality of life. You flag one lap and the culvert with the dummies and being able to go in again. Yeah, that's definitely taken a lot of pressure off. Because now it's like 5 minutes a week, right? And that's it. Right. And if that gives you access to 3 maxed out G skills, I think that's a really low bar to get a good value out of your time for sure.
Yeah, it's like 15. At worst, it's like 15 minutes if you
run a bunch of times. Yep.
Yeah. So okay, I guess I'll apply for render and then start practicing. Is there any video on how to strategy on flag raise, or should I wait? Because right now it's turned down to 1, so maybe it's another change.
Yeah, it changed a little bit, but I did the old stuff, just the regular lap, and I got 650 and 800. The main thing is now is that there's just way less pressure on individuals to do really high runs, because if you just get any run, more people are inclined to run. So if double the people run, you only need half the score, right? So that is something that should very quickly show itself in terms of what you need. But I don't have specifically videos for that. I was thinking of making it, but then people were like, oh, but we have single lap coming up soon, so maybe we should just make it later. I don't want to, because I'm thinking of, I don't want to make a video where it's this is how you get exactly 1k, but I think I just want to make a video on this is how you can guarantee yourself to get anywhere from 400 to 600, because if everyone can do that, then that's, I think, way more valuable than if you can hit 800 or 1k, but only 1/5 of the people run, right? If it becomes too hard for people. So I don't have one, but if you Google or you look on YouTube the name of the flag raise, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube already with people that show this is where you use this skill, this is where you use this other skill, and how you can get a decent lap time.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll right now it's just gonna be watch video, practice. Practice makes perfect. So okay. All right, and then I'll apply. I'll apply later, and then I will just practice. And once I have the time for it.
Yeah, we have the exclamation
Uh,
mark guild with like all the explanation on like what we can offer and how long it takes and everything, or like when you can move on to the other guilds, right? And then you can kind of just do things on your own time.
okay. All right. Last thing. Is commercial still is commercial worth it? Because this is definitely the one that get the most amount of mixed information.
There is value in it for sure. But I would say depending on where your character is going and what the purpose of your character is, it can be from very high value and like I would pretty much tell anyone to do it to it has really low value where I'm totally okay with people skipping it. So that will probably explain why you have some people saying you should definitely do it and some people saying you should never do it, right?
Right.
So if your character is your main character and you're pushing to black mage, you're basically, if you know now you're pushing for like normal Kaling or something, right? Like that's something that you wanna get there, or you want to get the like chaos, like Chaos Kalos, like that kind of stuff. Then you probably are just never thinking of Sweetwater whatsoever. If your goal is like I'm taking things like more slowly, I'm gonna go, I'm aiming for Black Mage right now. The Origin stuff, I don't have all of that yet. I don't know if I'm ever even gonna see 275 or 280, right? Like that's not like something I'm thinking about yet. Then Sweetwater becomes more of an option. The reason is that Sweetwater stuff has the quality of being guaranteed, more guaranteed. It has a pity system of the coins, which allows you to buy backups, which is good for people who aren't going to be penetrating the game like in depth very quickly, because they'll just take longer to get there. But in that same amount of time from doing the dailies, you'll be guaranteed more backups, and therefore you have a way higher likelihood of being able to make items that are equivalent or even better, but like equivalent or a little bit lower than pitch stuff. And because they'll be in a situation where you have a pretty high likelihood that you'll just never see pitch stuff, or if you see it, very low chance of getting it to the amount of stars upgraded where it would be able to compete with the Sweetwater stuff. If you do, you can basically use the Sweetwater stuff as almost an alternative, as like a backup, and use the pitch to kind of like walk the item up in stars, so that you can just kind of like frog leap one into the other, right? Alternate until eventually one rises victorious, as in not boomed, and then that'll make it so that you have made an upgrade there with a backup. So, for example, the one I usually don't tell people to get is the monocle, because I think it's only worth if you find a Papulatus mark early and then transpose that into the monocle and then suffers the monocle as is with backups and everything. Usually what I go for is get your first Dominator 16 and transpose that into Sweetwater and work for Sweetwater on upgrading. Again, because you can have more backups guaranteed on the Sweetwater pendant rather than on the Dominator, and you'd want to keep your spare Dominators for later, for fodder, for transfer hammering into Superior Pendant and getting a higher star for Superior Pendant instead. You don't want to dedicate them too much to the Dominator itself already. What you could do though is dedicate them to the Dominator, so this is why the alternative is tempting for people, is you could use them as a Dominator for a while, and then if you go quicker through the game, you get towards Daybreak, and then you get a good Daybreak, then you can just simply swap them out and then use the Dominator as the fodder for the Superior. So you end up at the same path there, but then instead of using, the Daybreak, what the first path allows you to do is take the Daybreaks and the Dominators together as fodder and get to the Superior faster. But then you're basically aiming for a final goal somewhat of like 20 Superior and 19 or 21, whatever you decide to do, on a transposed Sweetwater Pendant. And that's kind of like, because you're trying to do the damage around the area of how much damage that roughly gives you. But if you're trying to push beyond, then you always want to be, like aiming for the future. And then honestly, all of Sweetwater, maybe the tattoo, like one tattoo is pretty nice, because that's a good in-between between the Condensed Power Crystal and the Twilight Mark, because the Twilight Mark might take a while, right? It almost never drops from normal Lucid and Will, you basically have to wait until hard Lucid and Will, and then you're probably doing it with 5 or 6 people. So there's like a loot rotation. Might take a long time to get one, right? So that's why I think the tattoo probably has the most value in current day. So you don't have to deal with transposing, and it's pretty straightforward. Like you just get one, you get it up to 17, and then it's pretty solid. And then it's just way better than the condensed power crystal, and it also allows you to set a little bit of a higher expectation from your first Twilight mark, that you can immediately try to tap that one past 17 to make sure that you make an upgrade. Like try to aim for 19, for example. And then you can be like, oh, I hit 19 Twilight, I'm going to try to get my tattoo to 19 as well. If it booms, you just switch to the Twilight. If it doesn't boom, now maybe you can get your Twilight to 21. If that booms, now you have a 19 Twilight, right? So you use the backups of another item, but in the same slot, to basically use it as a backup to walk up your item in better Star Force.
Okay, all right. So yeah, okay, yeah, that clear things up. So I guess I should start doing it. Since this is my main, and yeah, I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to like get to like see Kalos next month. Like that's just impossible. So yeah, I guess I'll do.
Exactly. If you're progressing more steadily and like more slowly, then I think Sweetwater gains a lot more value.
Okay, all right.
And you mentioned here as well. You mentioned here some acronyms. I did find there's some like abbreviations and stuff that you don't know what they mean.
Yep. I sometimes I just kind of like look at like chat and just like, wait, what are you talking about? Like I'm seeing like 15-15. It's like, what does that even mean?
Oh, those are the guild skills. So that's the level of guild skills that they offer. So the first one is IED, the second one is damage, the third one is boss damage, and the fourth one... Oh no. Damage? Yeah, damage, IED, boss damage, critical damage. In that order. So that gives you an idea of where they're ranked, and also what they can offer to you for G skills. So that gives you an idea of like how much are they probably expecting of me in terms of like flag and contribution and culvert and that kind of stuff. I did notice though there is a... Was it part of the game? Support. Where is it? Is it Maple Guides?
Because sometimes even I'll just watch you guys boss and like what are you like? I kind of like what are you guys saying like when you mention for them? So.
Oh, here are some. I don't know if it's necessarily these. These are more like general ones, but there are quite a few of them. So there might already, some of them might already be here, might be explained here. Those are just like abbreviations mostly. Do you remember some of the things that I said that you were wondering about what they were?
Oh God, I can't. Yeah,
it's hard in the moment. Yeah, I know for sure. I mean, I would say if you hear something and you don't know, just when you're in the Twitch chat, just ask and someone will know. Maybe Richard will let you know. He's always in there typing, or just ask me, like just DM me on Discord or something. Okay. It might be something very specific to a boss, like it might be a certain skill pattern call out, for example. But another party might call it something else, you know, if they just want to throw like a meme name out. But in general, if there are like guides for bosses or certain strategies that people are sharing, then people will take like the terminology of those guides and they'll basically just copy that, because there's no need to like reinvent the wheel. Plus, if you play with someone else who knows the strategy as well and you have the same words to communicate, you can immediately, you can skip all of the lingo and stuff. Like you have the same terms for everything.
Okay. Oh, probably back to like one more thing. Back to like the meso. The Absolab Guild did not go beyond 17, right? Or like does eventually going to Arcane? Like, is that correct?
Yeah. So remember what I said in the beginning, like when you're determining like how big you upgrade it. So part is how much damage does it give you per meso, right? The efficiency, and then the other one is how long do you keep it. And basically, Absolab is pretty good, and Absolab can give good value per per meso spent. But typically, if it's your main character, you're not holding into it for super long because you do move into arcane pretty quickly. So that's why we don't go too high. That, and because we don't need the damage to come from them. So you can get enough of the damage from all of your other pieces and push a little bit harder on those instead. So push harder on CRA, push harder on getting like level 140 fodder gear. Hold on to that so you can go high Star Force, transfer it into Superior, maybe take the Superior up to 20 or 21. And that allows you to keep the Absolab a little bit lower, work for Arcane instead, and then once you have the Arcane, then upgrade into that, really like get way better potential, get better flames, because the Arcane you're going to hold for much longer, because that's going to, especially for you, right, because the next step is going to be Eternal Gear, so that's like killing easy Kalos at least for like 20 weeks for one piece, or killing normal for 10 weeks for one piece to try to make an upgrade there. And that's the only way to get it. It's not like there's events and there's shops and there's drop from monsters, you know, and you can just, if you want to, you can buy backups for Arcanes. It's only like kill Kalos, kill Kaling, have the pieces. Like, that's it. That's the only way to get it.
And then, like 5 years later, and then they just give it to you for free, so.
Well, probably not even 5 years. Yeah, it'll be... Yeah, there's whole transitions, right? When first Arcanes came out, they were way harder to get. For a long time, I told people to not go for Arcanes because it wouldn't make sense. They cost way more effort to get. And then once you had them, upgrading them was very expensive and very risky. And the main reason is the level jump, because you go to Absolab as 160. I have some characters, for example, where for the longest time, I just made level 21 fodder, just like with Superior, and transferred into 20-star Absolab. Because 20-star Absolab, or even if you tap them to 21, is stronger than 17 Arcane. Strong, like if you, probably around 18 Arcane or a little bit stronger. But way cheaper, way faster, and you know, about as strong or stronger. So again, if your character, you know, the purpose of the character is to get around a certain amount of damage and not really go past that, the correct way could be to go for a high Absolab and just kind of ignore Arcane for a while. Because what it also allows you to do is, if you know that eventually you're going to go into Arcane and you want to go for like 21 and 22 Arcanes and stuff, if you have already higher star Absolab, that does mean that you can already start tapping the Arcanes and go for higher Star Force, right? Before you even consider switching into it. So if I have a character with 20-star Absolab because I want to be around like 45k stat and I want to be able to like duo Hard Lucid and Hard Will maybe, and then solo everything below that, that's what I want to do for the character, nothing more. And I do end up getting Arcanes, and I have Arcanes in my inventory. I'm like, okay, I want to take the character beyond. I could start like just tapping the Arcanes and see if I can get the Arcane to 21. And if it doesn't go, it doesn't go, and then I just don't switch. But if it does go, now I can make a big switch into Arcane. So you reserve yourself the right to kind of like see from a distance whether it's going to be worth it for you or not.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
More information than you asked for, but like to contextualize like with the Abzo. So if you do notice that you're like moving up to what you're most likely going to do is move up to Abzo and then move towards the weapon first, right? Towards the arcane weapon. And then hopefully with the Absolab, with the arcane weapon and everything else upgraded, then you can start moving towards Hard Lucid, because then, you know, the origin skill and other people in a party, then the Twilight Marks come, then hopefully armor boxes come, and then the full transition into Arcane will start happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot, but like, you know, it's a process. So.
Yeah, it's a process, exactly. Is there anything left here on this list? Oh, event ring. Winter picnic, sunny Sunday.
Yeah. Do we know? Yeah, let's see. So I also have some because I can transpose the Tsukayumi, like, you know, the one from the Romaru off into the Absol gear, right? So
yeah,
transfer hammer.
Your glove, you mean, right? Because of using that one.
I have a couple of backups of those, so I'm probably going to like this sunny Sunday push them to 12-star, and then once I do get the Absol gear, and then transfer hammer them into it. I think that's probably the logical sense of it.
Yeah, so as long as it's the same type of item, so where it says type gloves, As long as there's also a glove and it's within 10 levels below, then you can transfer hammer it over. The one thing you want to be careful of when you're looking for fodder later, so usually into the Spear Golek stuff, right, is that you get a lot of the same item, because if you're foddering, you're going for past 17 so that you can get the superior past 17 without having to risk the superior, right? So you want to make sure that you have a lot of items that are the same item, because of the trace, right? Then if your item blows up, you can transfer the trace into another item that has the same name, and then just start Star Forcing from 12 again. Like, up to 12 at that point isn't that expensive, so you could do different types of items, but it just saves you the time to get up to 12. It's a little bit faster that way.
Okay, so stock up on pink beam belts. So.
Yeah, those are, and that's why with pink beam belts, a lot of people will be sitting on a 17 or a 19 or a 21 pink beam belt for a while. Not because that is so good, but because it has flame advantage, it has probably some potential at that point, it has a good set bonus, and it's going to transfer hammer right into a superior anyway once you get it, and then it's going to maintain its value and get stronger. So it's a good thing that you can preemptively Starforce on without losing any value along the road. And that's the main thing that we're looking for in Heroic server, because we don't have trade, right? So we're always looking at, like, where do you have backups, where is it low risk, and where is it going to maintain its value. Either you hold it for a long time, or the value can be transferred along with the next piece of equipment that is coming after this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the belt is like the main example of that. There's not many other where you can do that, because I don't know. Yeah, you did mention. I saw you did mention flame somewhere as well. Is that clear for you? Like the flame scores, or?
Yeah, I know how to use the flame calculator. Basically, boss drops that have a higher flame scores, and I just want to know, well, I guess, like, what flame score I should aim for Absol. So, is it like, because right now I believe for CR is like 70 or higher, and like, is Absol going to be like 80 or like 90? You know?
Yeah, typically it's because it's just like one rank higher, right? Just 10 levels higher. I usually go for about 10 score higher. Yeah, that's usually good enough, again, because we don't keep the Absol that long. And then for Arcane, we make a big jump. So Arcane's usually you're at like 125 as soon as you get it. And then usually eventually for people that gets up to like 145-ish, sometimes into the 150s. But it's good to... getting the higher level gear that you're going to keep for a long time is kind of like getting something to legendary. You immediately want to get a good potential on it before you start moving on, right? So it's the same thing with, like, you get a good piece, you want to get a nice flame on it, and once it has a nice flame, then you can move on to things. So you can use here this to kind of see like what kind of flame score you're looking for, and then the lowest number is always going to be the lowest level items. So like the Pink Holy Cup, for example, right? 140, and then up to 160, which is the Absolab stuff, and then here you see the jump, right, the 30, and that's because you're comparing like level 140 stuff and level 200 stuff here.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. So this, this those information. All right.
Yeah. And then the things that don't have flame advantage, so that's basically the Sweetwater and the Golek stuff. You see the numbers here are way lower because, they roll fewer lines, and the lines they roll are lower, so you are getting less value per meso spent there on the flames, so they're a lower priority, and you aim for lower stuff. But eventually, once these, hit those numbers, you're going to start getting diminishing returns there as well, or it's just going to take longer and longer before you even get your flame back, and then it makes more sense to roll on these, because you can actually still make some gains there.
Okay, gotcha. Do you have any resources on the event ring? Because we're getting into 2 ring box. So do we know, I don't know what we got the one with the normal monster damage. I know that one, but what about the old ones?
Yeah, these are the older ones, and then the other one is 20%. So that one is very similar to the Dark Critical ring in that sense, because it has like a fixed potential, right? Like, you can't pot it either. So those rings are typically good value if you are going to stay around the area of the game where their value is being used. So 30% normal monster damage is really good early on, but of course, as soon as you don't need that damage anymore because your WSE is better and your link skills, your Legion, and your Fee Matrix and your Arcane Power is building up, you don't need that 20% normal monster damage anymore. And the ring slot now loses value if it has that instead of having drop or meso. So if you're going past that, you have to know that the ring is only going to have temporary value. And then it's kind of up to you based on how much you play that you'll look at, well, how long is that? Is that going to be a week from now, or is that going to be like 3 months from now? If it's 3 months from now, you might take it because then you get faster, growth for those 3 months. But if you know it's only going to be a few weeks, and maybe another character can use an extra ring instead with more base damage, right? With more all stat, more weapon attack, then maybe that makes more sense to get for your character instead.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll read through the rest of these rings and see which ring makes sense for my character.
It's probably going to be some of these here. So like the Tenebris, the Glory Guard, or the Awake. But you can only have one of each type. The only one you could have multiple of here is this one, the Master SS ring. This one.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably pick a Tenebris one and then see what is the second one is. So. All right. So yeah, I guess that's that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, we don't have a heart in this shop, but the event after this should have a fairy heart. So then you can upgrade that one to a stronger one. The 19th anniversary.
Do we know it's the anniversary like right follow
yeah.
up right after?
Yeah, like May 1st. Yeah. Yeah.
May 1st.
And,
so.
Yeah, and then 6 weeks, and then we get the Dreamer update June 12th. So. Well, I guess it's not officially 100% confirmed, but it has to be, because every year there's an anniversary event, and that's the only 6 weeks it could be, so it like fits perfectly.
Okay, I thought I'm probably going to miss the first week of anniversary as well, because I'm going on a 2-week vacation.
Yeah, they've begun to be more forgiving for people missing a few days here and there or missing a week here and there. So usually they have more time, and like even the dailies are only like 5 times a week, right? And then the weeklies are only like 1 or 3 times a week at most, right? So you don't have to do things every single day to keep making progress. And then for the people who do miss a lot, there's always like the catch-up mechanic with like Maple points if you really do want to get some rewards. But yeah, it's up to you, whether you want to spend some to cover some or whether you're just okay not getting it. Seems like you're going on a lot of vacations. That's probably a lot more fun as well, not having to worry about all the things you're missing out. That's what the game likes to do, right? To try to remind you of all the things that you miss out, but it's good to just set your own boundaries there.
Right, because yeah, I mean, I don't. It's okay to miss out things once in a while, because you're not gonna be able to get. You're not gonna be able to do 25 hours, 8 days on this game, like. So.
No, exactly. But it wants you to, right? So, it always pushes you in that direction, so
So you have to set an expectation, as you say, like put your foot down. Like, this is all I want to do, and
exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, work from there. So. And if I miss the anniversary, like what do you do? Like this Dreamer is coming, but we have no idea what will Dreamer bring us. So
yeah, hopefully by the end of the anniversary event we'll have a little bit more clear, or like during the anniversary event we'll get a bit more clear idea of what's coming with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't really affect me, the meso train. At least it doesn't bother me, because I think I'm still just way too early in the game to like. Most of my money comes from bossing, so I don't.
Yeah, you're in the build-up phase still. You're still in the build-up, right? Towards.
Yeah, I'm still in the build-up, but it doesn't like. I'm not in the late game phase, but just like I just see like other streamers just like jumping around and like what, like Scardor or whatever, just kind of like farming for like hours and hours on end, and just like I'm not into that, and like I don't want to do that either. So.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do if you don't like that. Like I was never really into like the really long training sessions and all that stuff either. So I kind of did my alternative path, and I got there in the end as well.
Right. So, everyone have their own journey and their own story. So I think that's probably the point of the game. So
exactly.
But yeah. Thanks for the session. Like I really appreciate it. Like no one else will do this. So yeah, really appreciate
Well, you're very welcome. And if there's if any things you hear and you don't know what they mean, just let us know. And if there's any like specific in-depth topic or something, or you have any questions related to the guild stuff, you can always DM me on Discord, and I'll make sure to help you out.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna file the guild application maybe today or tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see it when it's there.
Okay. All right, yeah, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good evening, good night, whatever, and good luck on everything.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so hopefully that was useful to you guys as well, and it was useful for him. If you have any additional questions or any remarks based on the session, let me know. And if you would like to win one of these, make sure you leave a comment on the video saying that you would like to win. Please include your Discord name so I can reach out to you. 2 people every month win one of these free sessions, so in a little bit more than a week, I'll be drawing 2 lucky winners again. So if you want that to be you, don't forget. If you want to use any of the resources, these are all available under exclamation mark and then the name, or just exclamation mark info, exclamation mark help, exclamation mark commands. All of these commands will lead to the same thing, which is a list of all of these commands, and there you can use them. They're always available in the Twitch chat day and night, even when I'm not live. And if you have any additional questions, you can always check whenever I'm live and just ask for clarification. If you think something is wrong, we can discuss it. Maybe talk about a way that I can improve it or bring it more up to date, something like that. And for everything else, yeah, just check out the live streams or other videos. There's other sessions you can watch, so enjoy those. If not, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you live on stream someday. Twitch.tv/Scardor. I stream every day, so swing by whenever you want to. See ya.